and welcome back. I'm so happy you're here. I'm Joanna. I have 5 kids, 4 that I birthed, 1 step kiddo. So we have a blended family, and I love to share all things motherhood, life transition, home, and I've been doing this for a very long time. Today I'm going to share with you how I determine who gets my energy. I am a very visual person, and a few years back I just kind of came up with this visual that really works so much that Ben, my husband, also has adopted it, and we use it as a regular communication tool when we're trying to get back to what's most important. So I'm going to share that with you, but first I'm going to share a life update and what's been going on with Nesting Story. I've been getting ready for Christmas, lots of shopping, wrapping presents, and navigating a snowstorm today, driving all the kids to school. But it has been like kids are complaining, fighting, arguing with me, fighting with each other. And last week I was like, oh my gosh, like it was even continuing on yesterday. I had to like really kind of shut down some kids because I'm pretty good, I'm pretty chill, but if it falls into disrespect, that's where I draw the line. And I really have to like get them back on into like, I'm the parent, I'm the adult, you're the kid. Keep in mind my kids are ages 11 to 16. So 2 11-year-olds, 2 14-year-olds, 1 16-year-old. So they're in that kind of age group where they're starting to sometimes think like they know more than me. Maybe they do in some areas, but overall they don't have the life experience. Totally healthy, normal teenage behavior, but it can't tip into disrespect. That's my line. So I was reminding myself, this is what always happens before a big break. This is something I learned when my kids were little and started to go to school. It happens before Christmas break and it happens before summer break, where those last few weeks, even up to a month, they start fighting. They start, like, it's like they just are crawling to the finish line. So if you're also going through this season and you're like, what is going on with my kids? Like siblings are fighting, or they just like, they're talking back a lot. Take a deep breath, remind yourself they're burnt out and this is normal. Don't take the disrespect, but this is normal. So that is kind of what I've been dealing with in that front. Last night, I went to my first PR event since before COVID. So, I've been doing this content creation. I started as a blogger since 2013. So I've been in this industry for a very long time, much longer than a lot of influencers these days. And so before COVID, it was my full-time job. I was with a network, and which is part of Chorus Entertainment, and I would be at events multiple times a month. And then COVID hit, boom, everything got shut down. Since then, I kind of like pulled back from content creating and did some other things, and then I've kind of been ramping it up again, but the invites never really stopped, and I can see them kind of increasing now that I'm back online more. And I would just kind of be like, no, I'm such a homebody. I can be very introverted. Ben and I are very just like, want to spend time together, want to be home. It takes a lot for us to get out of our house. Our friends know, we have friends that try to get us out all the time, and if we go out, it's like, it's a big deal. So this invite came up and I couldn't say no. It was a Paramount Plus event for Landman. Have you seen that show? It's so good, but it's Ben's favorite show. And so I turned to Ben and I was like, I think this is one you're going to want to go to. And we both said yes. And we went last night. We took the GO train into Toronto. We had the best time. Ben had the best time. It was a really cool event. It was like the most wonderful date. So we're like, okay, we could be doing this together more as dates and then enjoying this. And it was so fun to create the content again and just be back in that world. I ran into a whole bunch of my old friends from way back, and it was just such a great reunion. Ben got to know them. He totally hit it off with them. It was awesome. The weird thing was there was like this shift. So there's always been content creators. I love it. Everyone's unique. It's like a great people watching place, like very cool fashion, very interesting personalities, super nice. Like everyone is just so nice. I had a couple people just come up and introduce themselves and everything. But something I noticed that was like very different than the last time I was at these events is every time a caterer came out the door, they could barely get into the room because all these people swooped in to take video and photos of the food. Like I'm not exaggerating. It was wild. And so I've been in the management side, and I know kind of like the content. They have to create their content, their food content and everything. But that was the biggest shift I've seen since when I used to go to these things and now. So, you know, I have to go there and kind of like take everything with a grain of salt. I know my content is not that. My content is very driven by helping other people, especially moms, especially women. And that's why Nesting Story started, and that's where I am right now. So I just can appreciate what they're doing, but it's just like, that would never be me. Did I take footage? Yes. But like, that just blew my mind. Like if you saw it, you'd be like, oh my gosh, this is a circus. But it was just the best night. So going to be saying yes to more of those. Keep my eye out for some good ones. And it was just like a really fun thing to do with Ben. So just a little update on what's going on in the Nesting Story world. I've been doing little house projects here and there, and I've been showcasing them either on the blog or on my Instagram. So go check those out. We're in our new house, and I'm showing more and more of what we're doing. I kind of have taken a pause this week and last. I was really sick, but I'm back at it. And so that's something that I've been sharing. If you're not part of the membership group of Patreon, you may want to join. It's mostly turning into a support group for women who might be going through relationship struggles or divorce, but there's definitely that element of aging, of perimenopause. But in there, it's like Nesting Story, the blog, only I share much more raw stories about my life. So I never would share something there that like, if someone took it and put it on the internet and I'd be devastated. No, but it is a pay to play, and it's $7 a month, but I try to give tons of value, and I'm going to be pumping up that content. And actually right now, if you go in there, you're going to see an announcement that everyone else won't know about until probably closer to March, maybe February, and a little gift for you. So I've added the link below. I think go join, stay a while. Also, let me know what you'd like to see more in or what you want to hear more about. Like, have you followed for a while and there's some kind of story or something that happened to me along the way that you'd love to know more about? I'll add my email address too. So feel free to shoot me an email and let me know what kind of content you want to see there. I have also just put out a blog post this week about if you're feeling overwhelmed, if overwhelm is happening in your life, 5 ways to kind of like bring you back to yourself and ground yourself. So that's on Nesting Story, the blog, linked below. So go check those out. Go follow on Instagram. Lots of, as always, Insta stories behind the scenes. Okay, I'm going to talk about the Bullseye Boundaries Method that I have come up with. I kind of just stumbled upon this a few years ago and then shared with Ben, and it's just been like, this is what we go to. And I really think it can help other people. It's huge for us. So a lot of people are always like, Joanna, how do you do it? You have 5 kids. I just have 1, and I'm barely keeping my head above water. First of all, like, there's seasons to everything. Sometimes kids are sick and we're all just trying to survive. You have a newborn, you're trying to survive. Like, don't get me wrong. We all go through seasons. But when I step back and I say to myself, how do I do it? Because first of all, I can't do it all, but I manage things pretty well. The big one is overcommitting. Overcommitting my energy and my time to other people, events, activities, everything like that. I'm very, very selective. And that has been how I do it. As life has got busier and I have become more focused on family and my relationship, this has become so, so important. So over the years, and I think this kind of happens naturally, especially for women as we get older. I'm hearing a lot of women have been doing this. And I've read a lot of articles about this. Your circle tends to get smaller. You tend to kind of like really become selective about who's going to get your energy, who's going to get your time. So the Bullseye Boundaries Method, which I have called it, is I picture a bullseye. Like, think of playing darts. And you're picturing all of the concentric circles. The inside circle is you, or if you are partnered, have a husband, a partner, boyfriend, that's the center. And I'll tell you that it's so important as someone who has gone through a marriage ending and then really committed to my marriage now. that I'm in, it is so important, and I've learned so much along the way, from failures to success, about how to operate in a different way. The second circle is our kids. So it goes us, then our kids. The next circle of that would be like immediate family members, parents, siblings, that kind of thing. And then it would kind of go out to like uncles, aunts, things like that. After the parents and siblings ones, it will be best friends. So like select 2 to 4 best friends. Maybe they're couples you like to hang out with. They go in there. And then outside of that becomes acquaintances and coworkers and things like that. So you're going to move outwards with those relationships. So for us, and the more I'm learning, and as life goes on, your kids are going to get older. And I am starting to feel it. My kids are getting older, becoming more independent, especially with Holden. He's 16. He is becoming much more independent. We're starting to talk about like university and the next steps. They're not going to be there forever. And I think when you're in it, when your kids are little, you don't have that mindset. And I really encourage parents to have the mindset that your kids are there temporarily. The relationship with your partner is long-term. And it takes work to have a healthy relationship. And I've seen this whole thing online about all these women who have come out of a bad marriage and then are like, I'm staying single forever. This is the best thing ever. I did that for a bit. It's great. It had its moment, but I think it's gone a little too far. And I think people are kind of expecting this like easy relationship, and also kind of that it's going to be a worse quality of life. And I disagree. I think that it's worth the time to put in. There's great people out there. And I'm not, if you want to spend life alone, go for it. Like, if that's your goal. But if you're afraid, like, just put yourself out there. And I've really learned that relationship comes actually before your kids. Obviously, you need to have, take that with a grain of salt, and you have to have discretion. But at the end of the day, when you're looking about how to spend your time and quality time, you've got to carve out time for that relationship. Kid-free too, if you can. You've got to show kindness. You've got to put your ego aside or your fear aside of rejection, and just go ahead and hug the other person or make them a coffee or whatever. Make the effort. It is worth it. And I think a lot of people these days are not doing that. So that's that center. So when we are trying to make decisions about everything, we think about how it's going to impact that center. Then we go to our kids. Our kids take up so much of our time. So much of our time. We have 5 kids, and 3 of them are not the easiest. They're going to thrive as adults, but they've got some stuff that makes things a little more challenging. And then we have to work with the other 2 who are easygoing, but they're not going to slip under the radar. So we're constantly triaging. My mom had 4 kids. My parents had 4 kids. My mom used to say, it's like you're spinning plates and you're constantly triaging, and there's going to almost always be a wobbly plate, and you got to put your attention there and then put your attention there. So kids come next, appointments, bullying at school, homework, making sure they're getting enough attention. That needs to come next, and it's so important to triage. At the same time, it's so important to have boundaries with your kids. So I will sometimes slip up and realize, holy cow, I'm being sucked into the vortex. Boundaries have to go back in place. Whether that means I'm almost catering to them too much, or I'm saying yes way too often, can we go here? Can we go there? Can you drive me there? Oh, wait a second. You could be taking the transit, or you could be doing that. And it goes for little kids too, even babies. And I will tell you, when I had my 4 kids and they were little, and we'd be dropping the twins off at daycare, who are the youngest. I remember them 2 years old, and then all my other kids, we'd have to all go to the daycare before the school drop-off to drop off the twins. And I remember this one day, this dad came in, and he had 1 kid. It was a little boy, and he was the same age as the twins. And it was the winter. All my kids dressed head to toe, mitts, everything. And he was this kid was struggling, nothing on. And he's like, oh my gosh, how do you do it? I'm like, honestly, 1 is in a lot of ways harder than 4, because it's an assembly line at this point. It's across the board. You stop stressing about things. So this is where this comes into play. When you have 1 kid, I remember when Holden was little and it was just him, I'd be guilty if there was a chunk of time. I should sing another song. I should read another book. No, you don't need to fill all the time. You can actually like put them in a pen and let them play, or like there's ways you can find chunks of time. You don't need to be their constant entertainment. So think energy, time, boundaries. It actually makes for healthier kids to allow them to have that time to entertain themselves. And I can tell you a perfect example in our house. My first two got way more of my attention because they're the first two. By the time the twins came, third and fourth, they had to entertain themselves. It was just a fact. They were third and fourth in line. And whether it was one waiting for the other one to be fed or have their diaper changed. And I'm telling you, they are the most self-sufficient kids. So that is something to keep in mind. So that's that ring. Then you think of your friends. Really think about quality friendship. Over the past 5 years, 10 years, but especially 5 years, I've outgrown some friendships. Doesn't mean it's like ended on bad terms. I'll talk to them here and there, but I've started to be like, do we have much in common? Or do I even have the time to, be getting together with this person? How much am I making an effort versus them? That kind of thing. And it almost has happened naturally. It's been unspoken, but it was something that I really had to kind of look at and be like, how am I feeling when I walk away from having coffee with this person? I do have an amazing friend who really fills my cup. And I think we both walk away and text each other after being like, that was amazing. Thank you for being such an amazing friend. But my circle of friends is small. And it is a lot to do with how limited I am with my energy and my time. And don't forget, I'm just realizing as I'm talking, I haven't mentioned me in it. You're in the center. Like you're like the pinpoint in the middle of that bullseye. You need to have time to put into yourself. Whether that's pulling yourself together in the morning or having a hot bath or getting exercise in, or, you need to make sure that you are right in the middle of that. And then it's like you in that main relationship. Outside that comes family and everything. And that's something that really in this past 6 months, I've had a really good lesson in. I've always been really close with my parents and my siblings. And I've shared a bit, but there's been some upheaval lately, some health stuff going on, and just kind of like interesting changes and stuff going on with the family. And so it was very tempting to just like spend every single day on the phone with my brothers or parents or whatever, just to make sure everyone's good. And I'm the oldest daughter, and I think there's something to that about how we operate in a family of like the caretaker, making sure everyone's good. But at the end of the day, about a month ago, I kind of was like breaking down, and I'm like, I really need to put some clear boundaries here and not be so available all the time. And that's like a very new lesson that I've learned, and it's been healthy and it's been well received by my family, and we're great. And they understand, and they're all like, Joanna, you have 5 kids, and it's not the easiest kids, and you got a lot going on. So I think sometimes when you put these boundaries in place, and you can feel like guilty putting boundaries in place, and then people are like, yeah, of course you're putting this boundary in place. I see you. So that is something new that I've really had to put in place, and just not be as available, and kind of know that, I have capable siblings. They can help, and everything doesn't need to follow me, and I don't need to be involved in everything. So that would be that side. And then you're going to your acquaintances, coworkers, things like that. When something comes up, so say Ben and I are invited to something, and we're trying to decide where we're going to put our time, we go back to that. We go back to our circles. We see how everything is doing. We see if that is time we want to pull away from one of the circles. Say Ben is invited to a work event, and I'm good with whatever, but he'll literally look at that and be like, do I want to spend that time away? Is it, and that's how we'll make our decision. So it really helps you figure out how to divvy out your time and energy. It doesn't mean you're not going to give any time to your coworkers or those outside circles, but when you have a hard decision to make, and this can go for sports families who have a lot of sports for their kids and stuff, like our kids are just not into like playing, like they have their things, but they're not super focused on that. I wasn't either as a kid. And so that's not been a huge thing for us, but I know other families that can be very time consuming. So kind of take a minute and triage, like look at everything and be like, okay, like, is this feeding in? Are these outside things going to negatively impact those inner circles, those relationships on the inside. Because I'm telling you, you got to look down the road, 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. How are you balancing everything out? Have you been giving yourself enough time? Have you been giving your main partner enough time? Or is it out of balance with your kids? Think about that. It is more than money. For me, it is like my energy and my time is the most important thing, and it's the most scarce commodity, and I can't have more of it. And every once in a while, I will recognize that these are like askew and they're off kilter. And so I need to make adjustments. I need to go put some boundaries in place. I need to go pour some time into some other relationships. It's constantly about keeping an eye on everything. I hope that makes sense. I hope that helps. Let me know in the comments, like, has this resonated with you? Is this something that you have struggled with? I feel like this is a very good lesson just before Christmas and the holidays, when you might be pulled in all these different directions and just totally exhausted. Can you take a second and look at how you're divvying out your time and your energy and see if there's a better way to balance that? Thank you so much for watching. I'm really excited about the videos that I'm going to be continuously making. I kind of took a pause just to kind of get a sense of like, what am I loving filming? What can I do without? And it's been a lot more of these sit down videos. I really feel like this just is like the season of life I'm in. Also, I have so many life experiences. I feel like I have like so many stories to share and life lessons to share. So I'm excited to do a lot more of this, aiming for every Thursday. Get back on, track with everything moving forward. So follow me everywhere else. I've added the links below, and I'll see you next week. Bye.